County Board of Supervisors to order. I don't recall whose turn it was to do the invocation, but Mr. Black? Mr. Black, if you would give us the invocation, please.
All rise. Heavenly Father, as we come before you tonight, we ask you to bless us with your decisions, with your grace, and make you look over our decisions. We ask that you look over different parts of the world that are struggling right now with trouble in Afghanistan, trouble in Africa, and trouble here in the United States. We ask you in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And while we're standing, I'm going to ask young Marines Macy Ross, or Corporal Macy Ross, Corporal Brenna Ross, and Private Ian Ross, if they would come forward and help us with the pledge, and also your younger brother, who I don't have his name. So if the four of you will come forward to the podium and lead us in the pledge, we would appreciate it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
He's back. All right. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, and we apologize for the delay due to technical problems. At this point, do we have any amendments to the agenda, Mr. Cully? I don't believe we do. So we have no amendments. Opening board comments, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to thank each of you for being out at our meeting today. I just have one comment. I would like to thank the Port Royal Town Council for their efforts in putting on the Port Royal Charter Day, which was held on the 4th of October down in the town of Port Royal. It was very well attended. It was a good thing. It was a nice day, and just an overall good program for the town, and I'd just like to thank them for their efforts. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Black?
Yes, I have a couple, actually. First of all, I would like to thank everyone who came out we had a meeting in Lake Landor last Thursday regarding the rate increases for Aqua Virginia. And I would like to thank all those who came out to the meeting to attend and attended and who are willing to help out with that. That's actually on our agenda. I think it's number 8 on our agenda tonight. So we'll be talking about that later on. So appreciate that. Also, a couple of weeks ago, in my district, Western Caroline District, we had a winery open called Sassafras Shade. They actually opened up today for us, even though they were closed. So I encourage people, it is Caroline's, I believe, only winery. So I encourage people to go out and visit. Great people, and it's very good wine as well. The next thing I have is just a kind of a question. I don't know Mr. Cully could answer this. The list of names that we've been discussing with the personal property, where are we on that?
I haven't discussed that with the treasurer recently, but we should be close to being able to publish that. The last I talked to her, and they're working through the list to try to make sure they don't have any errors. But there's, I don't think anybody can guarantee, 100% error free.
Now, do we know on that? Because there was a couple questions that were posed to me, and I guess that would be an Ann Neal question. Do we know on that if that would be something, if someone's name was published wrongly, that the county would be liable for in any way?
I would have to take a look at that specifically to the statute. I don't know the answer.
Okay, thank you. And the last thing I would like to personally welcome, my mom is here all the way from Maine, so supervisors actually do have moms as well, so thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, thank you.
Well, that is a novel thought. Mr. Underwood?
Just a couple, Mr. Chairman, thank you. First, I'd like to thank the citizens from Reedy Church District who came to the meetings on Monday and Tuesday. Certainly it was a small group, but certainly had good dialogue on helping Reedy Church to grow and the county as a whole to grow. Secondly, I'd like to say thank you to the State Fair. State Fair was just outstanding, well attended, and I think they did an outstanding job. We still have some concerns but I think Mr. Cully addressed those regarding a lighting situation. But overall, I'd say 95% of it was just outstanding. That's all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Underwood. Mr. Akers?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like for Mr. Cully, if he would, or Mr. Fincham or someone, when Mr. Nelson was here with the Transportation Department a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Black had asked, and I'd asked prior to that, about a guardrail or a fence or something around the pond that they have developed. Now, they have put a fence around the storm management, I guess, pond, but there's another pond there that just, you go right off the side. I mean, and that's close to the road. I would think at least they could put a...
Mr. Nelson's here.
All right, great. Yeah, I didn't see him when I first started talking. Well, we'll just wait until he gives a presentation, I guess.
I think we're going to talk to Mr. Nelson in closed meeting.
Oh, okay.
So
well,
can
I ask the question?
You can ask him a question, and if he wants to answer, he can come on down.
All right.
He's great. He's really
Good evening, Mr. Nelson. How are you?
I'm doing.
I wasn't trying to.
If I just happened to walk
behind
in.
your back. I just didn't see
You knew he was going to say something,
I
so
did.
you showed up. There you go.
We looked at that issue, and I mean, it's not warranted for guardrail. The other location has a fence around it because of close proximity to the home.
Right.
But I mean, as of right now, it does not warrant guardrail, and we're not looking at putting guardrail up for that area.
What warrants? I mean, what does it take to warrant a guardrail?
It would have to be the driveway, but you have to realize that that location right there, where you see it currently, is not where the roadway is going to be. There will be a shoulder and a buffer area between that and the management pond.
All right, so we just need to wait until it's completed, then we can.
They're trying to finish up.
Yeah, because today they
Before the
started
end of the year.
blacktopping the.
Yeah, they are causing some traffic issues today, blacktopping, but
All right, I will wait until they finish, and if I still have a concern, we'll chat about it.
we will.
Thank you for your help, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Seeley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to remind everybody that the Bowling Green Harvest Festival is this Saturday. It's the 25th annual. The weather looks good, and I think the crowds will probably be huge, but would invite everybody to come and join us. It's usually a great day. My second comment, Mr. Chairman, comes this week is National Back to School Lunch Week. And annually they have members of the community, parents, come to the school and have lunch with their children to see what the nutritional quality is and try to educate everybody on what healthy lunch is and eating habits. And it's something that I have traditionally gone to every year. Today was one of the days for National Back to School Lunch Day, and I attended with school board member Mary Anderson, checked in at the office, got the badge, picture the whole 9 yards, made one loop around the building and into the cafeteria, talked to a lot of parents, some kids, and in waiting for my second set of kids around 20 at 12, the superintendent caught me outside the cafeteria and told me that I needed to leave the building, that I was not invited. As a board member, I was not to be in the building, and Mary Anderson could have no guests. I was pretty surprised when I asked him if that meant all board members. He said yes, and I said, under what authority? He said the buildings belong to him. I was very stunned. He continued to stand and said that I was leaving, and Marian Anderson and I exited the building right there next to the cafeteria. I am at a loss as to why, and the other thing that he told me, he wasn't sure that I was invited to the cafeteria. It's National Back to School Lunch Week. My understanding is the community is invited. But apparently, as a board member, I am not. And I will just caution other board members. He said the entire Board of Supervisors. He rattled off some other things. Quite frankly, I can't tell you what they were. I had a tough time getting my head around what he was saying. So we were asked to leave, and we did, and I will leave it at that, but I don't understand why. Since the school boards have requested and many times encouraged us to visit the school, I figured this was a good opportunity. Many parents would be there. It's an opportunity to see the flow of the building and to understand what's going on and what some of the needs are. And the uninvitation caught me, quite frankly, by surprise.
Didn't you speak?
I did, Mr. Underwood, I spoke at the groundbreaking for the high school about 3 weeks ago. So, and we were invited into the school that day as well. So I'm at a loss, but I will say that it is interesting that because I'm on the Board of Supervisors, I was specifically not invited. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Mr. Seeley, and we, of course, will look into that a little further. I have a few opening comments. One, of course, again, I'm welcoming Mrs. Black. It's good to have you here. Hopefully you bought some lobster from Maine? No? Okay. Well, it's a good thought. But it's great to have you here. As Jeff said, it is nice to know the supervisors do have mothers, and next Tuesday is my mother's birthday, so I can definitely appreciate it. It's glad you're here. I do have a comment for Mr. Fincham, who's not here. He's going to be here in a while. But the board we need to take some sort of action so we can expedite the Belmont commercial property. They basically have an approved site plan, and from what I understand from the developer, they need to subdivide a piece of the property because they're not going to do the entire site plan. They have to subdivide it. The bank won't give them money until they subdivide it. We basically have 2 commercial structures and a lot of revenue pending that rezoning, so we'd like to get them started as soon as possible, and we'll address that with Mr. Fincham and maybe close it or finish it up before closing board comments. And the one other thing I would like to address is, and I know reporters don't write the headlines, but there was a report, an article in the Caroline Progress that everything in the article was correct. The headline said, "New regulations delay school projects." And that's not really true because the regulations had been in effect since July, and they were going to be in effect since January. We knew they were coming. So that wasn't really the reason the projects are delayed. But I will commend Kevin Whiteman, from our building inspector, who stayed on top of all of the plans and things that were submitted to his office. Because as we're all aware, incomplete plans lead to change orders, and change orders tend to be very expensive. So by Mr. Whiteman making sure the plans were correct and final and good bid documents, you're basically saving the county money in the long run. So I think it's a great idea that we have the projects going forward. I told the school superintendent before there were 3 things we wanted. We wanted them done right, we want them done on time, and we want them done on budget. I'm willing to sacrifice the on-time part. I still want them done right, and I still want them done on budget. So, Mr. Whiteman, you keep looking at those plans, making sure they're okay. We want something, and I'm sure the school board wants something the whole county can be proud of. So, thank you for that. That takes care of my board comments. We're going to move on. The first thing we have on our presentations and reports, Chief, we have a promotional ceremony from Fire and Rescue, Chief and Mr. Madiak, and okay.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening.
Good evening.
This evening we're here to recognize the career advancement of one of our employees. Firefighter EMT Tim Hahn is being promoted to Fire and EMS Lieutenant Tim Hahn. Tonight, our brief ceremony will encompass 3 parts. The first being the passing of words of wisdom from Deputy Chief Garnett on leadership and in Tim's new role. The second being the reading of the oath by the chairman, Mr. Thomas. And third, as is the tradition in the fire service, Deputy Chief Garnett will present Lieutenant Hahn with a symbol of his new position, his new role, and his leadership element in our organization. So with that, Deputy Chief Garnett. Ricky.
Good evening. We're gathered here tonight to recognize Timothy Tim Hahn upon his promotion to the rank of lieutenant. To quote President Lincoln, "I will prepare and someday my chance will come." This is exactly what Lieutenant Hahn has done. His preparation towards leadership began long ago with his decision to enter the fire rescue service. For quite some time now, Lieutenant Hahn has utilized his talent of leadership in coordinating our public safety education program. With Lieutenant Hahn's promotion, he will be charged with leading a talented group of individuals that make up Caroline County Fire Rescue. Tim, with your promotion to the rank of lieutenant, it is imperative that you continue to develop your leadership skills, as every day you will come in contact with those that watch you closely and are in a desperate search for someone to serve as their mentor. I challenge you to be that someone. In closing, I'll offer words of another great leader, John Quincy Adams. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. Lieutenant Hahn, you've been promoted because you possess those qualities to transform those words spoken by John Quincy Adams into actions. I congratulate you on your promotion to lieutenant.
Mr. Chairman?
All right, are you ready for the oath of office?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right, raise your right hand.
Yes, sir.
I, Lieutenant Timothy Hahn,
I, Lieutenant Timothy Hahn,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
I will support the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge all duties
and will faithfully and impartially discharge all duties
incumbent upon me as a fire rescue lieutenant
incumbent upon me as a fire and rescue lieutenant
of the Caroline County Department of Fire and Rescue and Emergency Management,
of the Caroline County Fire Department of Emergency Management,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Tim, we have many traditions in the fire service, and one is the presentation of a helmet upon promotion. And I have your lieutenant helmet to present to you tonight. We know history tells us that about 1740, fire helmets were first invented in the United States, and of course they've evolved. But there's some symbolism here I want you to think about. Number one, the color red here. Not only is that an officer color, but that's a color of courage that I challenge you with. Also, we'll point out the eagle on the front. The eagle represents strength and leadership as we go forth. And there's a shield on the front. And the shield reminds you not only to protect yourself and your crew, but the citizens that we serve. There's your officer helmet.
Understood. Thank you, Chief.
Tim, congratulations.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. And that ends the ceremony. Pictures.
Lieutenant, you have a word to say?
I'll go ahead and thank the staff from all the chiefs here and the faith that the Board of Supervisors have put in the fire administration. I'll do my best to continue my public education services to the young people of our county, as well as anyone else that comes to us that needs any kind of outreach. And I'm looking forward to the challenge and the honor to serve not only the citizens of Caroline County, but our guests as well.
All right. Again, congratulations, Lieutenant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And I'd like to, on that same note, I want to thank Chief Loftus because he wanted to do the ceremony before our board meeting, and I thought it would be a little better if we did it during the board meeting. And actually, Lieutenant Hahn will have a permanent video record once it comes out. So thank you for allowing us to do that. All right, the next thing we have, the Ross family's here, is, do I need to wait for Mom? We don't need to wait for Mom? We do? Yeah. We don't, okay. We have a resolution declaring October 23rd through the 31st as Red Ribbon Week in Caroline County in recognition of the Young Marines program. Mr. Cully is going to read a resolution, and then I'm going to ask you folks to come forward and give you the resolution.
A resolution declaring October 25th through the 31st, 2014, Red Ribbon Week in Caroline County and honoring the Young Marines program. Whereas the Young Marines is a drug demand reduction program sponsored by the Marine Corps League, membership is for children ages 8 to 18 or through completion of high school, and whereas the Young Marines models its program after Marine Corps' value of honor, courage, and commitment by focusing on teaching youth to live a drug-free lifestyle and teaching ideals such as leadership, teamwork, and discipline. And whereas the local branch of the Young Marines is named after Lance Corporal Caleb John Powers, a Marine from Fredericksburg who participated in the program and was killed in action in Iraq. And whereas Lance Corporal Caleb John Powers Young Marines participate in and promote the National Red Ribbon Campaign. And whereas each year, the Young Marines sponsor a National Red Ribbon Week that gives individuals the opportunity to wear a red ribbon signifying their opposition to illegal drug use. And whereas the National Red Ribbon Campaign will be celebrated in every community in America during Red Ribbon Week, October 25th through 31st. And whereas businesses, government, parents, law enforcement, media, medical institutions, religious institutions, schools, senior citizens, service organizations, and youth will demonstrate their commitment to healthy, drug-free lifestyles by wearing and displaying red ribbons during this week-long campaign. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Caroline County Board of Supervisors hereby proclaims October 25th through 31st, 2014 as Red Ribbon Week in Caroline County, and be it further resolved that the Board does hereby recognize and commend the Lance Corporal Caleb John Powers Young Marines and its commitment to live a drug-free life and participate in Red Ribbon Week, adopted this 14th day of October 2014.
Let's take care of that official adoption part. Is there a motion to adopt Resolution R3114?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Motion was made by Mr. Seeley and Mr. Taylor simultaneously, seconded by Mr. Underwood. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. The motion carries unanimously. Would the Ross family, and I mean all of them, please come forward? Don't leave my buddy. Don't leave my buddy.
Kick the bottle.
Yes. You like Uncle Floyd, don't you? Wait, Mama's right there. Don't cry. That's going to be embarrassing if you cry. She's coming. Vote for me. Where you guys live? Right before home? Where? You can move by the time you get. Okay. Where's Mom? Oh, you're going to take the picture? Oh, okay. Mark, how far do we have to move?
No, you're fine. Pretty much good.
We're fine? Charlie, the resolution, please. I got my hand full. Come on. Smile. There we go. All right, we good? Oh, we're doing fine. Good. Okay? Mom, if you want to move closer, either way. Wait. Okay, thank you so much. Can we do one of me and him? Okay. Mark, you got one of me and him? Me and my new voters? Thank you so much. You were so good. Congratulations. 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 Come on, you're going to be a young Marine. Congratulations. I'm keeping this. Congratulations. All right, here you go. It was so much fun.
you like being up here?
Eldon is not here. He had a scheduling conflict.
25th.
And he'll be here 25th of November? Okay. Now, this was the second year that the Ross family came as part of Red Ribbon Week. So it's really great, and the whole family was there. I think that's wonderful. All right, so we do not have the legislative program. We have a report on the Caroline County Residential Expo from Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Always like following adorable babies to make a presentation. We are pleased the Department of Economic Development and Tourism is taking the initiative to promote the county's housing industry by holding a residential expo on November 8th and 9th at the Visitor Center to highlight Caroline County's residential developers, builders, and also that Caroline County is a great place to live, a beautiful community, a perfect place to own a home. We have invited all our local builders and developers to this event to give them exposure to the marketplace where people are going to be buying homes, and all will be participating. And if you don't see them on the list, they're probably contemplating being there. We also are going to have the county school system, Carmel School, and the Caroline YMCA to continue to tell the story of all the good things going on in Caroline County. Planning is underway to add food options on the site and other fun events at the Visitor Center to make it a very positive experience for visitors coming to learn about owning a home in Caroline County and being new residents here. It is going to be on Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The event really is sponsored, of course, by the Board of Supervisors, and we're also getting a generous grant from the Economic Development Authority to advertise. We are planning on advertising in newspaper, radio, and social media. The Residential Expo will highlight that Caroline County is a beautiful community that combines the best of rural living with a new dynamic future that includes great schools, excellent residential developments, outstanding builders, internet access, recreational opportunities, and a location that is convenient to everything. Caroline County is a haven from congestion and provides an outstanding quality of life for its citizens. And that's the message we want to get out to the public.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wilson. The advertising budget you have is taken care of by the EDA?
Yes, and what little bit we have left in our own budget.
Okay. And you have, of course, invited the chamber to help participate in this?
Yes, sir. We're talking with them as well.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Wilson? Mr. Akers?
No, I don't.
Ms. Seeland? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, sir.
It's a good idea.
Okay, we're moving on to appointments. We have two appointments for Madison Recreational Advisory and the Economic Development Authority, which Mr. Wilson just talked about. Mr. Akers?
Mr. Chairman, I do not have appointment for the Recreation Advisory Committee, but Mr. Miller Smith has indicated his willingness to serve another term, and he served the county well and the Madison District well. So I'd like to reappoint Mr. Miller Smith to represent the Madison District on the Economic Development Authority.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion is made by Mr. Akers, seconded by Mr. Seeley. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously. Our next appointment is the Hanover Caroline Community Corrections Criminal Justice Board, and Ms. Esty Newbay Howard needs to be reappointed. She was filling the term. Any discussion on that appointment? If not, a motion would be in order.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Underwood, seconded by Mr. Akers to appoint Ms. Newbay Howard. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously also. Agenda item number 3, which is consent agenda. Any board member like to pull anything from the consent agenda that's before us?
I just had a question. About agenda item D, Mr. Chairman.
The Corbin Tower, yes.
All right.
Okay, any other questions? Questions, issues? Well, since we only have one question, let's go ahead and pull that question. Mr. Taylor?
Right. Again, I don't necessarily want to pull it, but I guess my question is, we're going to rent space on the Corbin Tower as opposed to erecting a tower of our own. And I was just wondering about the economic impact. Are we going to rent space forever and ever and ever? And if we're going to do that, I would like to know some contrast between the cost of erecting our own tower and renting a tower. I mean, we're looking at close to $3,000 a month for rental, which is $36,000 a year. So I guess my question is, how many years are we going to do that, and when does it become cost effective to erect a tower of our own?
I think the towers before were close to $1 million.
Okay, and I had no idea. So
we could probably get a tower for 30 years.
That's all my question.
And that was the case with the other towers we had.
Okay.
But that is a good point, because at some point in time we'll have to say, as rents go up, it's time for us to build a tower, and I guess the little baby I had will be voting on that when we do it, but that'll be sometime later.
Well, that was my question.
Your church is on what road? That's where the Corbin site is? Where exactly is the Corbin site?
Deputy Chief Point.
All right. That is the one that's on the left that looks kind of rusty and... Okay, but it's not being used by them now, is it? It is being used? But not AT&T? Okay. Fire and rescue? Okay. All right, and I'd seen it, and we talked about Corbin, and that was a little off to me. I just saw that antenna a couple of times going that way, and I was wondering if that was the one. So, all right, Mr. Taylor, I think that takes care of your question?
Right.
Okay, so the consent agenda stands A through F. Motion to approve would be in order?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Underwood, seconded by Mr. Black. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Wow.
We're in closed session. We're right at 7 o'clock.
We have a closed session scheduled at 7 o'clock. I guess we should go ahead and do that, and then we'll be back at 7:30. So we are going to have a closed session motion.
Want me to make it?
Yeah, as soon as I get it. The motion will be under the prospective business exemption of Code of Virginia 15.23711A5, involving a discussion of a prospective business where no previous announcement has been made of the business's interest in locating in the county. Mr. Seeley.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Seeley, seconded by Mr. Underwood and Mr. Taylor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. We will endeavor to be out of the closed meeting and back at exactly 7:30. We will reconvene. I don't need that. At this time, we need a motion to come out of closed meeting.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Seeley, seconded by Mr. Akers to come out of closed meeting. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously. Do all board members certify that only the action or only the items we went into closed meeting were discussed? Mr. Taylor, do you so certify?
I so certify, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Black?
I so certify.
Mr. Underwood?
Mr. Chairman, I so certify.
Mr. Akers?
I so certify.
Mr. Seeley?
I so certify, Mr. Chairman.
And I so certify. No action is required out of the closed meeting. Mr. Akers? We have public comments and then public hearing. If you could just, I know you got to hold on just 1 second. I know how it is. At this time, we are going to open up the board meeting for public comment. At this time, anyone who would like to speak to the board about any issue that is not a public hearing today may feel free to do so. And I understand there's some people who would like to speak during public comment, so if they would like to come forward to the podium, state your name and or your voting district, and then what you would like to do.
Good evening. My name is Laverne Smith Courtney, and I'm from the Reeder Church District. I'm here tonight to give the board, I'm trying to start a support group. In 2004, I started a support group under Cindy Gatewood's leadership. I met Cindy in Henrico at the Henrico County Victim Witness Candlelight Visual. And to give you a little background, I come forth with this project because in 1999, I lost my son to homicide. He was my only child. And through that, I met Shelley Schumann Johnson, who is the director of the Victim Witness Program in Henrico. So for about 4 years, I went to Henrico's support meeting as well as their candlelight visuals. Once I met Cindy Gatewood, I started that same tradition here in Caroline. We used to meet once a month, and we used to meet over in the Fred building next door. After a few years, the meetings, people started slacking off from coming to the meetings. So at this time now, I feel that there is a great need for support in the county. But only this time I will open the support group to homicide victims, suicide victims, domestic violence, anyone that have lost a loved one through illness and accidents. I'm here tonight to present this project to the board because I would like for our meetings to be placed on the monthly county calendar, and as well as to ask for maybe a little support, maybe like $100 to $200 a year to do basically like the candlelight visuals during Christmas time and any little small projects that we might want to do during the summer or the spring, like little picnics or, just a little get-together for all of the family and friends of lost loved ones. I have objectives here that if I have time, I would like to go over. I have mission statement as well.
If you've got all that and you'd like to give it to us, I
have copy.
You have copies? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't have to read it if you just want to give it to us. I think that'll be fine.
We are trying to get our first support group together to start the 23rd of this month. The manager of the Days Inn on 207 has offered me his facility there, which I think would be convenient for anybody in the area. That way you have access to 207, 95, and Route 1 rather than the narrow roads at night because, like myself, I don't like driving those narrow roads, at nighttime. So I would like to ask the board for a little financial support as well as to put this event on your calendar, your monthly calendar.
Okay. All right. I think that was your time. I want to figure out if there's anybody else, and then we'll come back and discuss yours.
Okay.
So if you give me a second to see if there's anybody else who wants to speak, we may have some questions of you.
Okay, sure.
And you can come back again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Courtney?
Yes.
We need your mission statement, if you could give it to Mr. Parton right there. And he will pass those to us, and again, our sympathies on the loss of your son.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak as part of public comments?
My name is Nancy Kennedy. I live on Welsh Drive in Lake Landor, which is Western Caroline. I live in the portion of Lake Landor that must get water and sewer from Aqua Virginia. So Aqua Virginia is really my topic tonight. We can only get our water from Aqua if we don't have aqua water, we have no water. Putting in a well or a septic is not an option for us in Lake Heritage. I recently retired after 30 years of teaching special needs students in Spotsylvania. Therefore, my income is pretty much fixed, and it was going down, so staying any longer didn't really seem like a good option. So, I currently have 2 part-time jobs to try and make up for the lesser amount I make as a retiree. So, finances are certainly an issue for me. I live by myself, and my aqua bills are generally between $80 and $90 per month. This is not as high as some of my neighbors, but it's quite a bit for one person. I also wanted to, I kind of ask around with some other people. I have one neighbor where the household is 1 adult and 2 children. His bill is between $130 and $160 a month. I asked another person, they said they have 2 children, 2 adults. There is between $130 and $150 every month. Another person, there was 1 child, or 2 children, 1 adult. That was the 130, sorry. And there was somebody else that I asked, and they said they normally have 4 people in their household, but right now they have 4 other people temporarily. So their water bill is $250 a month, or $3,000 a year, which seems astronomical. One of my part-time jobs is working at the YMCA, and so some of the people that I asked actually were at the YMCA when I asked, and you'd be amazed at how many aqua customers are now showering at the YMCA, and if there was laundry, I'm sure they'd be doing it there too. I have really tried in my 1-person household to limit my water consumption, and doing so has really, it has a negative impact on your lifestyle. My idea of a good vacation is when I can go somewhere and shower without feeling worried about it. Some of the things that I have done to try to reduce my water consumption are limited flushing. I don't enforce this when I have company. I have rain barrels to use for watering plants. I frequently use the dog water to water the plants. I try to wash only full loads of wash. I run my dishwasher once a week. I rarely wash my car at home. I never water grass. And if I plant grass seed, it's just kind of on its own, whether it lives or it dies. I recognize, because I've been in this situation in the last few hearings with Aqua, that it is a private for-profit company, but they're not selling a luxury item. We don't have any options. They don't have to worry about competing with anybody else. I know that they are entitled to an adequate rate of return, but they seem to do a lot of bragging about how good their profits are, and many of their upper people are making a lot more money than I have ever made. We have very few options for fighting the water rate. Aqua claims to need these every couple of years. We can't go without water. Selling our homes is really our only option, and that's become difficult because, people are figuring out that our water is very expensive. I find it really frustrating personally that my only option is to sell my house if I want to avoid these exorbitant bills. I love where I live. I love my neighbors. I love my community. And really my focus at this point is paying off my mortgage, not taking on a new one. The SEC is the only way we can really work to try to keep the rates down. Right now, we are not only fighting a proposed rate increase, but also the fee that they want to impose, that we are scrambling to really understand and figure out how to fight. Landor has been hit particularly hard because of the sewer, but this is really a county issue for me, like Elsinore, Campbell's Creek, Countryside Apartments, Lake Landor, Bridlewood, Lake Caroline has now become Aqua. And also Port Royal is considering Aqua, which really frightens me for them. The residents of Caroline County, all of them, really need you to help us with this struggle. I'm on like this much. Is that what you're telling me?
Summarize.
Okay, all right. So we really appreciate the support you've given us in the past. We really need you to continue to support us, whether it's by doing things within this, whether it's reaching out to your counterparts across the state and our elected officials to, one, avoid the fee, which will impact everybody, not just the Lake Landor people. but also, and by showing, being supportive of us and by reaching out to our elected officials.